As I've said in previous coverage, I love covering good music, and with D'Artagnan, I have been more than impressed. And I hope for those of you who are perhaps looking at this video going, who? I've never heard of D'Artagnan. I hope this is a good impression for you. At this point, I have covered 7 tracks of their library. And I did say, back when I've covered around 4, the latest of which being West Wind, I said, I'm going to go back and listen to all their music, on my own, because I was very impressed with them. A first impression of my loves in Germany, but then giving more of the music some time to really set itself in on a first impression. I just had such a love for them that I decided, upon further reflection, I'm like, you know what? I don't want to listen to those just on my own, right? Some of the tracks I'm going to, like maybe anything post or pre Feuer und Flamme, that's kind of where I've set the line a bit, because it takes me a while to get these videos edited and get them up. But I'm like, I've had such a great time. I love this group. I love, obviously, folk rock, and I've barely spent any time with it. I'm much more like, typically I look for maybe what's more seen as like heavy rock or hard rock, heavy metal, stuff like that. That's kind of my genre of preference, even though I have pretty diversified tastes. But for D'Artagnan, I'm like, you know what? Folk rock is so charming. There's no group I listen to that's really like them in regard to their styling or even the Musketeer vibe. It's such an original direction, but I love this group so much. I'm like, you know what? I don't care if these videos take a little longer to edit. I don't care if the album, in this case, Feuer und Flamme, is a bit old. I'm a bit overdue in covering this group. I've had such an entertaining time, and I love spotlighting talent that in my circles, judging by who I know, these are going to be, and I say this again, not to throw any shade, but they're unrecognized talents. And they deserve to have a grander spotlight. D'Artagnan, I think, deserves to be a global sensation from what I've heard. They're so good. I'm like, you know what? Let's take some time and explore this group at a deeper level. And so, in this case as well, with a video that we're about to look at, I find myself in a similar position that I've addressed with other groups as well. I love how European music, at least in the way that I see it, sometimes offers a chance to get introduced to other talents. In fact, with D'Artagnan, that was the case. When I covered my loves in Germany, that was only brought to my attention because of the collaboration that was done in that track with Blackbriar. Big favorite of mine. They're Netherlands-based. If you're really into symphonic metal, they are like pinnacle of excellence, in my opinion. But D'Artagnan, in that case, was an introduction, right? But I learned through Blackbriar. I've also spoken before, let's say, in reference to other European groups, Mortemia. He's a one-man symphonic metal artist. I believe he's Norwegian-based. I've covered about 4 of his tracks currently, and he's done, in all cases, collaborations with other artists. In fact, I found out through him, also through Blackbriar, because their front lady, Zola Kolk, she did a collaboration of him for the Röyksopp cover. And since then, you have been introduced, let's say, to Linda Toni Gran, Erika Olsen, and even outside of Europe, I've been introduced to South American talent as well with Katarina Nix. So with D'Artagnan, I'm in a similar position here that I was. So it's interesting to see how it's translated from, I came from another group to learn about D'Artagnan. Now I'm looking at D'Artagnan, learning about other artists. In this case, I'm learning about Patty Gurdy, who I've not heard too much music by. I've seen her name in just random searches I've done with European artists. She's a name that's popped up, I guess, in other collaborations, maybe from her principal group. But if I have to get a background here, she is a hurdy-gurdy musician from Germany. Okay, so there's another German artist I can add to my list, which builds upon not only D'Artagnan, Snow White Blood. There's probably a couple others I'm forgetting, maybe by name. I always get the groups mixed up in terms of where they're based and their location, primarily. It's like, I listen to so many, and there's so many different European countries. I'm like, it's hard to keep track of which is which. But I know, of course, D'Artagnan being German, that accent is thick. And their music is written in the German language. But for the most part, there's some exception with some English songs. But I've been very impressed. Well, I'm wondering, because this is by an English name, too. Maybe Farewell will be spoken in English. We'll have to see, but again, I've been so impressed, and I hope that for some of you, I'm sure some of you are coming to this video being longtime D'Artagnan fans. You probably already heard this track. Again, I'm covering this a bit late, as you can clearly tell, but maybe for some of you, you're like, I've never heard of D'Artagnan. Maybe you're somebody in my circle, and you're like, hey, here's another one of those unknown artists you keep bringing up that no one, like, I don't know, but these are the groups I'd love to spotlight. Again, the groups that I feel are underappreciated and deserve a much grander spotlight. Good artists, wholesome art, captivating expressions of beauty. That's D'Artagnan. I've been so impressed with them. With Felsenfest for newest album, of course, I've covered the extensive track library of singles from there, but I'm giving Feuer and Flamme a try as well from, I think, a pretty extensive list of their music videos. And now we're going to do Farewell with Patty Gurdy. So with D'Artagnan, I'm sure it'll be fun. And for those of you who perhaps getting a first impression, maybe with this video, you're also getting a first introduction to Patty Gurdy. So we're kind of operating on an even slate here. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the track, and we're going to listen to the song, and you can watch the video as well. I'm going to provide that. That's what I'm going to be doing. And for those of you, again, who perhaps have not come across my music coverage before, I try to provide every convenience that I can. So in the case that you're somebody who likes to read along with the message of the piece, I do provide the lyrics for you. They're displayed in the video, and they will, transition with the song as we go through. And in this case, well, I don't know if this is going to be spoken in the past. I've had to make a certain exception because, again, most of our songs are written in German. So I usually provide the German lyrics in the original condition, as well as to the best of my ability, and you can only trust internet translators so much, the reliability, but I do what I can. I provide a rough English translation. Again, if you're somebody that likes to have that available for you, I try to provide that convenience. I might not have to in this case. It might just be English. Let's see. But it's D'Artagnan. I'm sure it'll be great. And all these nature snapshots, it's so beautiful to watch their stuff. Beautifully paced introduction and good key choice. Oh, I like the heavier vibe. It's soothing. But you can sense the build. It's good transition. Oh, that violin. Perfect. Oh, wow. That's perfect, but that whisper, I didn't expect that. Such a cool idea. This is such a beautiful chorus. Love it. Honestly, it's not like anything I've heard from them yet. I like her lighter voice. Gorgeous. Captivating. It's gorgeous. Unique key play around there. Nice variety. It's like, yes, bring the chorus back. It's a bit better than the first round. So good. An unknown instrument to me. Oh, and the bagpipes. Again, how many, if you're familiarized with rock and metal, how many bands do you know that use bagpipes, especially in America? European music, I love it. And whatever the instrument is, fill the comments, please. It's a beautiful number. It really is. That is an immediate re-listen. That's gorgeous. I'll just say, because probably everybody's thinking it as well. Like, for me, this is, and it's, weird. I'm a single guy, but this is like romance music to me. It's so engrossing. And I've spoken before as well when it comes to European music, especially ones from female-led artists. In this case, it's a guest appearance from a very talented vocalist. Patty Gurdy, that softer vocal style, I loved. And that whisper on the introduction of her, it's so unlike anything I've heard, but it's just beautiful ideas. And how they bring it to the music with what D'Artagnan does and how they structure this track. It's just, that's not something I've ever heard before, but it worked so well. But I've spoken before with European music. I have a thing for European women. So it's like if anybody, wants to direct Hopefully, because, I've also spoken for in this channel, I'm a Christian, so the whole principle of being equally yoked. If anybody knows some, very nice Christian women, they're, available, send them my way. I don't mind just European in general. It could be from any country. I don't know. Again, just the accents alone. It's like just, oh, man. I know. Minor tangent. Forgive me. But how can you not listen to this and not be like, this is just such a beautiful... I mean, the whole video is about, like, the two characters of the piece falling in love, right? Or this romance. It's just gorgeous, though. I mean, that's one of my favorite tracks I think I've heard from them. Different key from what I'm familiar with. It kind of plays around between a ballad and folk rock style, which is really impressive. But just beautiful pacing. And that chorus section was to die for. That was, like, just solid. Gorgeous piece. And again, the cinematography, as always, for me, like I said in the past, I'm not a traveler, but I want to go to Europe, not just to see D'Artagnan live. I mean, if they ever came to America, that would be like, it would make me love them. But like half the groups I've listened to, this is to be fair to D'Artagnan, most of the groups from Europe, at least that are in my playlist, I haven't really made the journey over, at least from what I've seen. It's like I kind of think to myself at time, come on, there's probably how many Americans that are fans of your group? Like, why not come out here? You'll have attendance at your shows. You'll have me. I'm so impressed by this band. Every time I listen to them, and I know this is old, right? This came out, Feuer and Flamme, or Feuer and Flamme, to get the pronunciation correct. This is their past album. Now we're on the Felsenfest era. But I love covering music like this. Just stuff that immediately just embraces you and engrosses you. That is D'Artagnan. Again, if you've never heard this group before, I hope that was a solid introduction. That, for me, in comparison to other past tracks, which all have character, in my opinion, that's unlike anything I've heard from the library as of yet. But it's a gorgeous piece. Immediate re-listen. That's what I want to do right now. I mean, what more can I say about it other than it literally acts as a romance. It makes you fall in love. Just the very nature of the piece. I mean, maybe written into the song, maybe written into the visual of the presentation, but the song in itself just makes you fall in love with it. It's magical. It's beautiful, though. This is why I love European music. This is why I continue to spotlight European groups to such an extensive degree. This is the reason that I continue to spotlight talents that perhaps, again, in my social circles are unfamiliarized names. No one I listen to knows who D'Artagnan is. No matter how much I try to introduce, talents out there like D'Artagnan, there's always somebody in my circle, most people at least at this point, who say, who? I hope now you know. And I hope for those of you who perhaps aren't in my social circle, I speak, not maybe on the channel's attendance, but just in my personal life, for those of you who are stumbling upon this track for the first time, what were your thoughts? Again, I hope you loved that as much as I did. And for those of you who perhaps have come to love this track before, I give it a first impression, you've heard it maybe how many times? It's at 4 million views, so it definitely got noticed. It's, I think, one of their more popularized tracks. What were your thoughts of it? I'd love to hear everybody's angle from where you come from, as well as your comments on the track and the video down below. That's really a beautiful piece of work, though. I think there's a couple tracks for me with D'Artagnan. I've loved everything I've heard from them. But there's a couple tracks in my mind that really stand out. As far as lately, and it's always because of the character. C'est La Vie is my favorite in terms of the first run I gave. I mean, that track I thought was a beautiful blend between maybe where they can go on a softer to a much faster range, but it had so much character in the use of bagpipes and flutes, which is, it comes, like the bagpipes came in this video, like, it's just not something I hear that often, right? And then there was, on Felsenfest, Gillette Siege del Wind, which is a beautiful piece, and for me, again, it was such a nostalgic track on the level of it reminding me of my Riverdance days, so it had a bit of a country vibe too, which is just so interesting. But that track was paced beautifully. It's such a fun listen, right? That's currently one of my favorites. It's the one I was on a 7-mile walk yesterday, and I kept replaying it like crazy. Farewell is going to rank up there. from what I've heard thus far, maybe there's some other tracks from their past library that I haven't heard that are kind of matched in style with this, but the pacing of the songs, the vocal structure, with both of them have a beautiful blend to their voices, but with Patty Gurdy, that faintness, and again, that starting whisper, so cool and original. Like, I loved it. And even just, again, the instrument use, like the bagpipes popped in, whatever that one instrument was, again, fill in the comments down below. I have no clue what that instrument is. I'm sure it's probably German. Maybe it's not necessarily German-based, but they're utilizing it. Again, with this group, if you're familiarized in, metal genre's preferred listen for you as it is for me, I don't hear flutes or bagpipes used that often, or whatever that other instrument was. I've never seen it before. It's just such an original art. I love it so much. The D'Artagnan really has stuck in my mind as a unique favorite. All their tracks have, right? Then again, I have, ones that have really stuck in my mind more than others, but everything thus far I've loved. Farewell, immediate top listen. It's just beautiful. I mean, I'm, again, like the romantic nature to the piece that's encoded into it, I'm in love with the song. It worked on me. This is why I love European music. Just original character, true beauty. That is D'Artagnan, and that is most certainly Farewell. Thank you so much for watching this video. Before you bounce, feel free to drop a like and comment, subscribe to this channel with a ding on the bell, and share this video with your friends. And consider checking out the description here. There you'll find links to my other channels, as well as addresses to my other social media accounts and ways you can help support my work if you feel so inclined. May God bless you, and looking forward to when our paths cross again.